Hello, you lovely explorers, and welcome to this episode of The Psychic Explorer. How are you doing? It's another episode, another solo episode. Just before we get started, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who listened to Jono's episodes. The Halloween ghost story episode, I put a lot of effort into that one, and the feedback I got from it was just fantastic. So massive thank you to everyone who either listened to it, liked it, followed it, subscribed to it. Whatever you did, thank you so much. Just thank you. It's been a journey, hasn't it? Blimey, I can't believe I'm already over a year into doing this. It's been quite a journey doing this podcast. I started not really having a clue what I was doing. I hope that's changed. I really feel that over the past few episodes, I found my footing though. I am no longer afraid of this microphone. And, you know, I was listening to Hayley's episode, and this is nothing against Hayley because Hayley was fantastic. I really enjoyed what she was saying in her episode. Hayley was talking about grief and how that has instructed her mediumship and how her mediumship has helped her with her grief. But I was listening to that episode and I could tell that I recorded that before I found my confidence doing this recording. I sounded slightly uncertain, I sounded slightly unsure. I didn't sound as natural as I hope I do now. And actually, I listened to quite a few of my earlier ones and, oh God, did I want to cringe? I listened to them and thought, oh God, burn them, delete them from the internet. I don't want them out there. But actually, I think that's a really good thing to have a reminder of where you've come from compared to where you are now. And this is what this episode is sort of going to be reflecting on. I've been doing this podcast for a year, and this is not going to be a self-indulgent episode, I promise you, but I invited previous guests to send me their questions about my journey. The reason I do this is because I want this podcast to be a completely open and honest experience of my experience. It's a reflection of my experience on this journey. If I had listened to someone talking about the stuff that I question on a day-to-day basis when I practice this mediumship, this psychic work, this spirituality, I don't know if I would have as many questions, but I would certainly like to think they would have helped me. So if I can do that for other people, then that is what I will do, and that is what I will continue to do. So I've asked my lovely guests to send me in their questions, and they have done it. I've got a few questions here, which I'm going to answer, and some of them are quite funny, some of them are more profound, but they all have meaning. And I want to say a massive thank you to all my guests who have sent in their questions. I feel that I've waffled on long enough, so let's get into it. Here is the first question.
Hi Matt, it's Charlotte from episode 10 where we spoke all about crystals. So whilst we're on the subject of crystals, I was just wondering if you've incorporated crystals more into your daily life since you've learnt more about them, or do you have a newfound appreciation for crystals? Let me know.
Have I made crystals a part of my everyday practice? Well, first of all, thank you, Charlotte, for your wonderful question. If you are interested in crystals, please go back and listen to Charlotte's episode 10. She talks about the vibration of crystals. She talks about how they work, the mechanics, how she feels into them. And what I've really liked about Charlotte's episode as well was that it wasn't just her point of view and her experience, because Charlotte works with animals and she was saying about how her animals react to her crystals and the energy that they give off. It was really, really fascinating. Okay, so back to the question. Do I use crystals on a day-to-day basis? If I'm honest, no, I don't. But do I have an appreciation for them? Hell yes. I am sat here in my back bedroom in front of my microphone and my laptop, and in front of me I've got 3 stones. I've got a beautiful red stone, which Charlotte gifted me. I think it's red selenite, I think it is. It looks like some sort of incredible red dragon scale. It's just beautiful. Next to that, I've got a piece of rose granite, which I picked up from a beach on the Isle of Mull in my during my trip to Scotland. And behind that is this tower. I don't know what it is. It's like granite, but half of it, well, a third of it is dark black with like speckles going through it. The middle part is like this almost like lava, like this grey lava. And then on the other side of that one is this beautiful yellow, this bright yellow granite, I think it is. I don't know what it is. This is why I'm so bad at it. I've almost had to block Charlotte's Facebook group, Out of the Earth Crystals. If you're interested in getting some really reasonably priced crystals, go on to Charlotte's Facebook page, Out of the Earth Crystals. She's got some incredible stock. And I've threatened to block her a few times because every time she posts, I always end up buying something. I've got a bowl here. Let me... It's full of crystals that I bought from her over the past year. And they got spheres in there. There's palm stones. Just beautiful. I did try doing some lithomancy. And lithomancy is when you read crystals like tarot or oracle cards. Didn't go very well for me, I have to be honest. But they are stunning, and I do like to just stare into them. They do offer, I don't know, they offer something. I can't put my finger on it yet, Charlotte, but they do offer something. And I hope that answered your question. Let's move on to the next question, which is from the lovely Judy Wayman.
Hi, Matt. It's Judy from episode 18. I think I talked about my spiritual awakening, and I just wondered, was there something that was your spiritual awakening, or is it something that you've always known deep inside? And again, thank you for everything.
The wonderful Judy Wayman with her beautiful words. Again, another amazing episode. If you go back to episode 18, Judy talks about how important the words that we use are. And I think the words in mediumship are just, they are so important. Thank you for your question, Judy. Someone, though, has not been listening to the whole podcast, have they, from the beginning? I jest, of course. My journey, my journey is explored in the first episode or two of this entire series. And, of course, I don't expect everyone to go back and listen to it. And actually, those episodes, as I was saying before, might sound a little bit rough compared to these ones. But it was what it was. But this whole journey that I stepped on was awakened within me with the loss of my mum. Well, from time of recording, about 2.5 years ago. She died in a really tragic accident, actually, and I was driving to try and get to her once I was notified that she was in an accident and that she was having work done on her by the paramedics. I tried to get to her as quickly as I can. And while I was driving to get to her, I knew the minute that she died, more or less. It was within a minute that she died, and I just felt a presence. I felt her. And from that moment on, something shifted. Now, I know that, grief is an awful thing, but it was my catalyst, because I knew that something else was going on. This was not just a case of grief. I was feeling things. I knew things that I shouldn't know. And I had to explore whether or not I was going crazy, whether or not this was just grief, or whether or not the things that I was feeling were real, and eventually they were validated. I'll use that word that I massively overused in episode 2. It was validated. So for me, stepping on this journey has not been an easy one, because it's come from a place of grief, which in my logical brain has also made me think, well, am I making all this up? And I think that is a very normal thing to think when you come to this journey through that vehicle of grief. And that all comes down to trust, I suppose, as well, which brings me to Dana's question. Dana was on episode 8, and she was on to talk about trust in her mediumship.
I can't thank you enough for having me on the podcast and about talking about trust and all of those wonderful things. And Matt, I want to know, after talking about trust, how has that changed in your mediumship since our little chat?
How has my trust changed since speaking to Dana back in March? Well, I have a lot more trust in myself. I know I can do this. And actually, when I review back and when I look back on this year, I'm much more confident with it. I actually talk about it more than I ever used to. It used to be almost like a dirty little secret, and now I talk about it more. I'm more open about it. So I trust myself with it much more than I ever used to. Do I trust what I get? I do. I'm not entirely sure I trust my interpretation as much as I will do this time next year. So I'm going to give myself a positive challenge there, because it is inconsistent. I know I can do this. I know when I can do it, I'm good at it. However, there is inconsistency. I've got to be honest with you guys. I go through patches of being really boom, 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 getting things really well. And then suddenly it just dries up. It's like, that's the only way I can explain it. And I don't know why. Because when I'm good, when I'm getting things through, I'm getting things through really well. Like, for example, the other night, I was on an online circle in one of Dana's groups. And I was put into a Zoom group with someone on there. And I said, straight away, I know I'm a grandmother and I know I'm wearing a wig. And I was able to describe this grandmother's personality. And the person said, yep, I can take that. My grandmother was like that and she wore a wig. No, there's no way. There's just out of all the things, there's no way I'll be able to bring that through. So I know I can do it. It's just having that trust in my interpretation, which I still need to work on. And with Dana's help, I'm sure I'll get there. Okay, next question.
Hi Matt, this is Julie from episode 16. As you know, I am passionate about helping people in an holistic, whole-body way, much of which is listening to and connecting to my clients to find out how best I can do this. What I'd like to ask you is, how has exploring the psychic side of yourself helped you connect deeper with people around you in this life? And has how you navigate difficult times that arise changed from before you started on this path? Lots of love, Julie.
It's funny, I was thinking about this just the other day, Julie, because I was downtown and I thought, why don't I tap into my psychicness here? Why can't I do that? Or why don't I do it? Because I think in my mind, I see it as two different places to do it. There's in circle, where you're practicing, that's where you switch it on. And then when you're out and about and living your life, it's not something that raises its head, or at least it's not something conscious. So Julie's question, how has exploring my psychic side influenced or impacted on my connections in life? I think in all honesty, if I'm interpreting this question the way that I think Julie is asking it, I honestly don't use it on a day-to-day basis. It's not something which I think, tap into that person to see how they're feeling and to adapt my behavior accordingly. That's not something at least it's not something I consciously do. That being said, I'll hold my hand up on this one. That being said, you know that I'm a gardener. My full-time job, my day job is a gardener, and a lot of my clients are elderly. There is plenty of times, actually, now I'm thinking and tuning into this, that I'll go and see a client and I will just very quietly just tune into them. and I will suggest things. I will tap into their needs. I will try and figure out what's going on in their life, what they might need from me today. Do they need me to just come and do a job? Do they need me to be a bit of a soundboard? I love my job because it's so multifaceted. I can be a very practical person. I can help someone make their garden look better. I can help them with a job that they need doing. Or I can be, an unqualified social worker and just listen to their problems of the week. So actually, I do listen to clients. I do tune into them, and I find that when I do that, they get something better from me. They get something more from me, and actually, it fills my cup. It fills my soul a lot more than those that when I just go and mow the lawn and weed the rose beds. The second part of Julie's question, she asked if I've noticed how I've changed in dealing with difficult challenges on my path. I hope the people around me would agree with this, that actually since picking up this baton, I've actually been much more patient. I contemplate much more on what my actions might be, and I'm also a lot more tolerant to other people. Since I've not, I've alluded to it throughout various episodes this year, but this year's not been a fun one for family relationships. And actually, there would have been a time when I'd have got really angry and walked away because I was angry. Now, I can step back rather than walk away because I'm angry or I'm annoyed or I'm pissed off. I can step back because I can appreciate what that other person sees in me and recognize that they need time from me, and also recognize that that person is hurting and that person needs healing as well. And if I'm in their life, if I am present around them, that is not going to help them out. So it definitely helps. I don't think I use it on a day-to-day basis though. I think if I did, I'd be absolutely exhausted. Big old thank you to every one of my guests who have sent in a question for me. Honestly, this podcast would not be possible without you. It's just, I love doing it, and I really love talking to other people, other like-minded people about their experiences. If you, my dear listeners, would like to talk to me about your experiences, whether that is just a little chat or give me a message, or if you even want to come onto the podcast to talk about your experiences, I would love to have you on. Reach out to me at the.psychic.explorer. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Threads. There is a TikTok. I've not put anything onto it yet, but that will be coming. So just reach out. I'd love to hear from you. Shall we have another question?
Hey Matt, it's Jono here from episode 20 and episode 21. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I had so much fun chatting to you and telling you some of the stories and discussing, especially the ghost stories that we discussed. It was great fun. So thank you for that. Now, I have got a question, as it is your annual review, time for your PDP Monsua. But in relation to the episodes that we recorded together, I wondered, out of everything that we discussed, what was the thing that intrigued you the most? And out of everything that we discussed and in relation to the stories that we heard, what do you think was the strangest thing? I'll leave that with you, but great work, keep it up, and maybe we'll chat soon.
If you are into your spookiness, if you like your spooky stories, and you haven't yet checked out episode 20 and 21, oh, please do me a favor and go and listen to them. Jono is a paranormal investigator. He goes to my circle and we were talking about darker energies, something which I have I have no experience with. We also discuss listener stories. Very generously, some of you lovely listeners sent in your ghost stories, and me and Jono listened to them and we analysed them. We spoke about what it could be, what the possible explanations might be. Jono was even able to tune in to a few of them. And I'll leave this one as a little teaser for you, but there is a small bonus episode coming up in which I go back to someone who submitted a ghost story and I let them hear what Jono's analysis is. And spoiler alert, there might be something which Jono picks up on which is bang on. So yeah, listen out for that. But back to Jono's question, the first part, what was the thing that intrigued me the most? Honestly, and this is not a cop-out, I'm not trying to cop out on this, but I think everything, honestly, the thing that comes to mind when I think about Jono's episode, in fact, not even Jono's episode, but a lot of people's episodes, is the idea of perception. I go into these episodes, I try and have an open mind, but I do have my own perception on how these things work. And what I love the most is that through the duration of this conversation I'm having with my friends, people that I have spoken to online, people that come onto the podcast, my perception gets changed. And I said it in Jono's episode, what I loved was that my perception changed as I was talking to him. He was able to open my eyes to a different possibility, one that maybe doesn't resonate with me, but one that it still may be possible. So in all honesty, that is probably what I've taken away the most from, especially Jono's episode, the idea that we all hold different truths, and just because something doesn't resonate with one person doesn't mean that truth is not truth. What was Jono's other question? It was about my favourite ghost story from his second episode. They were all creepy and chilly in their own way. But I have to say, Graham's story about the little girl who appeared and disappeared, witnessed by Graham and his friend, and then looked back on the CCTV to find that they were talking to an empty room. Oh, that just chilled me, absolutely chilled me to the bone. So that, out of all those stories, definitely my favourite one. Okay, who have we got next? Oh, Hayley Cossey from just the last episode, actually. Let's hear what Hayley's question is.
Hi Matt, it's Hayley from episode 22. When you sit and go within to reflect on your journey, what would you say the biggest changes you now see within yourself? Thank you.
I'm not sure I'm qualified to answer that question. I think I would have to ask the people that know me the best. Simon would have to probably answer that one. But if I were to look within me, I hope I'm right in saying this, but I think I'm trying to get back to me. It was actually something that Hayley said in her episode, that this stepping onto this mediumship path has allowed her to strip herself back and get back to the true Hayley. With age, I have hardened. I used to be very playful. I used to be very silly and giggly. And after a few experiences, I hardened up. And I know that that is something that Simon misses within me. He doesn't often, but he has said to me occasionally that he misses the old Matt. I hope that with me following this path, not following that sounds like it's something that it's not, but with me stepping down this path and exploring this path, I like to think I have mellowed, that I am more open to things I was not necessarily open to as much before. The magic, the wonder in the world, it fills me more. I am more willing to just sit and contemplate and meditate. I enjoy going to quiet places like churches or whatever, not for a service, but just sit and appreciate the ambience of the building, of the environment. I think I'm more reflective. I honestly do. I think I have the loss of mum shocked me to remind me of how short life is and how important it is not to burn bridges, but to understand when things might need to change for the good of everyone involved. I've got a different philosophy on life. It's not now just about whatever will be. It's about doing good. It's about making other people happy. It's about helping people as best I can with the resources that I have, whether that be in abundance or limited. I think I mentioned this earlier on in this episode, or at least I alluded to it, where before, if people annoyed me, if people pissed me off, if I didn't agree with people, I'd almost write them off. I don't think I do that as much now. I think my patience, my tolerance has increased. My understanding of where people may have come from, the experiences people have had, which has made them behave the way they behave. I hope that is more in the forefront of my mind than it used to be. And in fact, I know it is. I know it is. So yeah, I think that, Hayley, in answer to your question, it's a multitude of things, but I think an increase in patience and an understanding of my purpose in my life on this planet, and an awareness of the impact that my interaction with people has. I hope that wasn't too wishy-washy. I hope that wasn't too hoi polloi philosophical. But if it was, if that was too serious, then the next question is certainly going to make you chuckle, because I had to keep nudging Shelley for her question. She said, I'll get it to you today. And I said to her, that's fine. Get it to me by Tuesday. And that's my deadline when I'm starting to record this. And it's now Wednesday, and I had to message her today saying, hello, question, please. And she said, oh, I'm so sorry. So she sent me not just one, not just two, but three questions. And because I listened to these questions this morning when she sent them through to me, I know the first one should have you giggling. And it's certainly something I have got to think about.
Hi, Matt. It's Shelley from Soulful Tarot. I think I was on episode 6 of your fabulous podcast, The Psychic Explorer. Really enjoying that, by the way. And congratulations on your Halloween episodes. They are great fun. So back to the questions. So I have 3 questions for you. Question number 1. If you could liken your mediumship journey to a dessert, which dessert would it be?
Okay, I'm going to answer these in order, because otherwise I will forget. By the time I get to question 3, I'll forget what question 1 is, although I'm not too sure anyone could forget what question 1 was. What a fantastic question. My word, what dessert would my mediumship be if it were a dessert? Okay, I've just paused the recording for like 5 minutes just to think. Right, my initial response was going to be something like a trifle, because it's sticky, it's messy, but actually, I don't think that's right. As I sit with it, my mediumship, when it's good, it's really lovely. It takes work, though, to get it good. It takes consistency. And it takes hard work. And when it flops, I feel just awful about it. And I just feel really flat when I get it wrong. So my dessert that is my mediumship is a soufflé, because when it rises, when it's right, it's amazing. It's light, it's fluffy, it's gorgeous, it's decadent. When it's wrong, it makes me feel awful. It makes me feel curdled inside. It makes me feel flat. You need to know what you're doing with a soufflé. You need to know how to cook it. You need to know exactly what temperature to put the oven on to, exactly how long to cook it for. There's so many different factors which go into making a soufflé. I think a soufflé is my mediumship.
Question 2. If you could give somebody who's embarking on mediumship or thinking about embarking on a mediumship journey just one piece of advice, what would that be?
My initial gut instinct is to say, don't worry about the no's. Be prepared to get it wrong. I think, though, that is a very natural thing that everyone doing this journey is going to learn eventually. My number one piece of advice, that I need to take, that I need to practice, is exactly that. Practice, 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 practice more. It's hard because life calls, doesn't it? Life takes you places, and you can't, it's not fair to your loved ones to fully commit every single hour to this. But at the same time, it does give you dopamines. When you get it right, it is amazing. And you just want to practice, practice. And unfortunately, if you don't practice, it leaves you very little room to improve. Practice really does make perfect. And there's never a perfect in mediumship. However, my piece of advice to someone stepping onto this path, Shelley, would be to practice, 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 whether that is in a face-to-face circle, online circle, friends, family. Do as much practice as you can to get to understand your signs and your symbols and your language that your team are giving you to use these symbols to interpret the messages that are coming through. Practice, practice, practice. Okay, let's have Shelley's third and final question.
Looking back over your journey so far, what's the best memory that you can recall? Anyway, can't wait to hear the answers. Thanks as always for having me on your episode, on your podcast. Such fun, and take care.
What a beautiful question. What an absolutely beautiful question to end this episode on. Oh, I've had to, really pause and think about this one. And as I sit with it, the thing that comes to mind is just the sound of laughter. The best memories I have is of the jokes, of the laughs that I share with all my friends in circle. I started this journey in a really rough place, somewhere where I was not expecting to make friends. Yet here I am, 2 and a bit years later, with a mobile phone which is substantially busier than what it was before, because I have more friends who are like-minded. We share things, we care for each other, we look out for one another. When we're not sure about something, we ask questions. When we want to give reassurance, we do so. It's the people, you do meet some funny people on this journey, but there are also some people who will stick around, people who will take your hand through these very strange and bizarre experiences that you will, or that I have inevitably undertaken on this path. So I think, Shelley, what a wonderful set of questions. there's not one memory in particular. I mean, I could say, it was the time when I felt I had a wig on my head, and I said it, and the sister could take it. It could be the time where I was on an online platform, and I said to the person in the group, I don't know why, but I'm being shown a teddy bear, and the woman on the other end said, I just asked my mother to give you a teddy bear if it's her. It's just incredible pieces of evidence like that. But actually, the thing that resonates the most, the thing that recalls the most, is the laughter. Is the laughter in the circles that I go to, the friendship, the camaraderie. It's just wonderful. It really, really is wonderful. Oh, thank you everyone so much for asking your questions. Dear listeners, I really hope, God, and I got halfway through this episode and I thought, oh Matt, this is so self-indulgent of you to just have people ask questions of you and your journey. If it's come across that way, I'm really sorry. That is not the aim of this episode. The whole point and purpose of this podcast is to show you someone's genuine journey on this path. If you are about to step onto it, I like to think that by me putting my heart and soul out there into the ether, telling you what my journey is like, is supporting you in some way. And hopefully, this episode goes somewhat towards that, and doesn't come across as too self-indulgent and too egotistical. You know me, I don't want to be egotistical, and that is a big worry of mine, so I hope it comes across in the right way. I am sure between now and the time that this goes out, I will listen and re-listen and edit until it is something that I'm happy with. But hey, there is a lesson there in itself. Sometimes you just gotta let things go, let things the way they are. And you may feel self-conscious about how your message goes out. And this is true in mediumship. You may feel self-conscious about how your message goes out. But at the end of the day, it's how your sitter receives it. And if your sitter needs to hear it, and if your sitter is happy with your message, then who are you to judge? Who am I to judge? So, until next time, my lovely, lovely explorers, I will see you soon. Lots of love. Bye.